Demetrius.
Oh, how's it going?
It's going
How you
good,
feeling?
man. It's our first pod. I'm excited.
Yeah, excited?
Get
You?
into
What?
these anime backstories. All right. So, my first question for you, get right into it. Before we get into our anime backstories, what did you jam with before? What kind of shows, what kind of cartoon shows were you watching before you're introduced to anime? What was like your background, so to speak? What is your foundation?
Just really nothing too disconnected. I mean, my mom will tell you the first thing that I was obsessed over was Power Rangers. Like immediately was just uh fully smitten by Power Rangers. So I was in the pipeline at a young age, like 3, 4 years old, jumping off couches. It's morphin time, any time of the day. Just absolute tiny menace, breaking bones. The usual stuff kids do
Big Sentai fan.
at that age. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
I mean, did you start with that, like, original first season, with, like, the original cast? Like,
I was. It was day one for me.
day
I
one?
was. I was. I was already watching those. Like the early Saturday morning. Blocks of cartoons. So like I was there when Power Rangers first started airing. Like I remember episode 1 vividly. I remember just like being so excited to see dudes jump really high, like just like the little kid brain of like being so excited for like just the simplest thing, be like, no way they could jump that high, no way.
Yeah, no way. I mean, they had this, like, kaiju thing going on too, because like, when they transformed into, like, whatever Megazord at the time that they were configuration
Yeah.
they were doing, they had that, like, classic, kaiju, whatever. Whenever they killed them, they exploded, and it was just,
Oh yeah.
it's very cartoony, and it really clicked with me that first season. Because after that, I didn't watch any more, Power Rangers. I did jam with, the movie, though, with Ivan Ooze. That was, dude, that beginning sequence where they're all, like, skydiving and you had, like, the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Yeah.
come on. Oh my god, that was so good. Alright, so Power Rangers, what cartoons were you, like, into? What was your jam? Did you like what channels were you, so to speak,
I mean,
watching
I
at the
was
time?
I was pretty much watching whatever my brother was watching, which I think was like it was usually like Ninja Turtles or anything adjacent to that. Uh so a lot of those like early 90s like SWAT cats. Um
Pizza Cats?
what Yeah, yeah, I don't think he ever watched Pizza Cats. I learned about that later. I learned about that later. But I mean, he would try to watch Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my god.
Uh like, a lot of those like early to late 90s cartoons were kind of like the ones that I was constantly ingesting.
Yeah, from my what I
Uh
remember, Nickelodeon was kinda dominant in the '90s in a lot of ways, for the cartoons. I mean, other channels had some big bangers for sure, but Nickelodeon just had, like, banger after banger after banger, with all that, their giant cartoon block, and you'd get the, like, occasional, Fox Box Saturday mornings, or, when was Cartoon Network made? I forget. Was it, like, late '90s, mid '90s? I don't remember that came on the scene.
I think it was early 90s. I think Cartoon Network like came around like I want to say it was like 94 or 95 maybe, cuz I know there was a Hanna-Barbera channel they were trying to push that
Mhm.
wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
Uh
And it was eventually on Cartoon Network from what I kinda remember as well, like, did they have Looney Tunes and stuff on there? It's
yeah,
been such
see
a long time.
October 1st, 1992
Oh, wow. Wow,
is
okay.
when those primary broadcasts started.
Wow, that's crazy. For me, myself, my kinda why I started with was I've always my earliest recollection after, like, beginner, like, toddler stuff, like Sesame Street, and was I think Turtles was my number 1, like, mega hit. Um, I was completely obsessed with those 3, well, 4 rather. Um, Turtles is amazing. Yeah, huge into that. He-Man, little sprinkles, GI Joe, kinda. Um, this kind of put me back here. There was a show called Gem and the Holograms. Are you aware of that show? It's a old.
The one where there was a musical number at the end of every episode?
Yeah, it's very, very 80s feeling, the hair, the outfits and stuff. So I
Yeah.
was, in terms of cartoons, I was into that. My background was like very action oriented. So I had all the, 80s stereotypical testosterone, Arnold Schwarzenegger to Jean Claude Van Damme movies
Ah.
in my background. But, tons of cartoons, yeah, I think I watched pretty much a little bit of everything earlier on there. I mean, every channel, wasn't particularly, like, held favor to, like, one or another. What about you? Like, what was, like, I don't know, what was your kind of, I don't know, so what was your, like, cartoon block you would come home and, like, watch that you vaguely remember coming home from school that was an anime before we get into our backstories?
Yeah, so, like, as much as I wanna say literally anything, I was hooked very early on to, like, just just that. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. We had cable, so, like, I had access to,
Oh my.
like you said, Nickelodeon and, we had, like, some of the other, like, movie channels where, like, the Disney movies would come on, and yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like, if I wasn't, if I wasn't seeing, like, some random OVA that I couldn't understand, uh, it was a Disney movie probably. It was probably, like, some princess movie that I was watching, and then, like, my sister would be in the room also watching it. It was just, like, I was always, like, watching these really, like, dramatic, uh, like, long form Disney movies,
They were good, man.
musicals, you
Yeah,
know?
Brink, like, one for me for Disney movies, Brink was, I was a huge rollerblader at the time, so, like, when Brink came on Soul Skating, where the fuck they were talking about, like, that
Yeah,
just,
oh my
it
god.
hit with me different, right? And then, you had that, like, crazy kinda scary movie, like, what was the one about, like, the house? Um, Pretty much trying to keep, like, everyone inside it, I don't remember, but there's Johnny Tsunami as well. Had the guy from Mortal Kombat. Was it Shao Kahn? I think it's like his grandfather or whatever. They lived in like Hawaii,
Yeah.
and he ended up,
Oh, no, it's the guy who played, Shang Tsung
Shang Tsung.
in
Thank
the
you,
first one.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah, and he was just, like, the chillest dude in that movie, which was
complete
like, You'd steal souls, you're a liar."
polar opposites, man. Yes, his retirement. That's where he end up going. He's done with the Mortal
Yeah.
Kombats.
Done
He's
with Mortal Kombat's,
yes.
just gonna feel the waves
Gonna
now.
feel the waves, surf, get some good vibes, bro, and then, help my, grandson become the best snowboarder. Were they in Colorado? I don't really remember, but anyways, yeah, those Disney's movies fucking hit. They were great. I watched those as well. Um, Another standout ones for me, were Real Monsters. And then later on, Cartoon Network came on the scene. They had just had a bunch of other bangers too, like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, and I mean the
Oh, yeah.
list just went on. It was nuts. So that's kind of like where I'm coming from. I was really kind of like a '80s kid going into the '90s with a lot of just, remembering a lot of '80s cartoons that were like very hit or miss, like Transformers. um, I liked the concept as a kid. I liked the animation, but I just wasn't down with it as much as the other shows for some reason. I don't know. Their toys were baller though. That was really good. Yeah. So in terms of anime, when did you think you got into it first? What was your first exposure? It didn't necessarily didn't have to like get you into the genre, but what was that first thing you're exposed to when you got into it?
Forming, a opinion and realizing that this was different, like, inherently different,
Mhm.
and I like telling the story, but it's, my mom used to work at a video store, and I think I was like
Hold
5 or
on. You
6.
had cable and your mom worked for a video
Yes,
store? Dude,
yes.
you're living the
Bro,
dream.
hey, I'll tell you this, I had Super Nintendo day 1. Like, there's a lot of my early childhood that was just like, man, I really had that unique experience of we weren't like filthy stinking rich, but man, my mom would make sure we had like the coolest stuff. Like she would make sure it happened. My dad would like hunt down stuff. It was very typical like 90s parents like you're going to have this cool thing cuz
Yeah.
I also want this cool thing. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
You get it. Yeah. Yep.
And she was working and I remember sitting waiting for her to get off work because it was after school. And she goes, "Oh, bud, you have to see this thing. It's so cool." She's like, "It's called Anime," and brings up this VHS, part of a video home system tape, uh, and it's Ninja Scroll.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she had no idea the levels of violence and gore and depravity that was within this VHS, but she was just really excited to have a way to show me what anime was because she knew from like, the 60s, 70s of like they finally got like Astro Boy and things like that over.
Very
So like
different. Yeah. Mm.
yeah, so to her she's like, "Oh, anime is like this kind of thing where it's like sort of a little more violent than, and a little more serious." And it was just like times 10 and I remember so vividly sitting there and my mom's playing it and we're like, "Oh, sick, it's ninjas." And they're like setting up the first time that they're going to go assassinate a guy and she's like it's going to be a little violent, but it'll be okay. They'll probably and like she just immediately like loses loses the script because what ended up happening was she had not read the rating on it.
Right.
And that first scene of like the assassination, and there's like blood and viscera and just all unspeakable things happening, and then like the whole little escape brawl that happens.
What a
It's
starter, dude. Your mom
it
lets
it.
you watch that? Like,
She didn't turn it off. That was the other thing.
that's so
She did
good.
not turn it off. We watched that whole thing, and I
Wow.
remember it. And I just remember thinking, this was what this is different than like literally everything I've seen.
This isn't Ninja Turtles. This isn't Ren and
This is not
Stimpy.
Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles at all.
This
Why
isn't.
did the why are the good guys killing people?
You're already dead. You know what I mean? That type. Oh my
Yeah, it
god,
was
this
it
is
was
so
it was a
so good.
lot. And I do remember she had found again, she found that exact I don't know if it was just that exact episodes in the VHS, but I remember seeing Fist of the North Star and just like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but they're punching each other. That's cool.
I mean, that's also it's kind of like a great. I mean, not only an amazing starter, but your mom was literally the cool mom that let you watch the good shit. You know, and back then there weren't a lot of avenues to get anime really readily like exposed to it. There's a couple channels back in the day that had before Cartoon Network and all the other like places started airing it. Video stores were kind of the go-to place to
Yeah.
just kind of find anime. That's where my first experience was Ranma and a half. And it's funny because I was thinking of it in like terms of like starters. You know what I mean? If like anime was like the beginning of Pokemon where Ash is like choosing your three starters. You had Bulbasaur, you had Charmander, and you had Squirtle. What would those three be in my mind? So like in my mind, it'd be some generic shonen, whatever. You'd have something like Cutie Honey. I don't know if you remember like that VHS box of like her clothes just being like ripped off and she's pretty much completely half naked or like Fist of the North Star. So I don't think my parents would have let me watch those two other ones that you're probably allowed to. There's no way because I remember we were in there and I would always go to that section all the time and it was such a crazy bag of tricks because you had stuff that look wildly inappropriate for someone my age, probably at like 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and then stuff that like look, similar to maybe um PG levels, maybe PG-13 levels of like they allow me to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember just getting exposed to Ramo and a half, and I was like, man, this is weird. It's what is this, like, martial arts guy turning into a girl with water and a panda and then these weird dances. It was completely different. Yeah, absolutely. So that was my first exposure to it. I think renting it one night and then just checking out. It didn't really get me into the genre itself. I remember I didn't even use the term anime, I think, till like maybe like mid-teens, really, until like I got into middle school, from what I kind of remember. I used I used Japanimation because at the end of like some of the videos they would say Japanimation or whatever. I don't know if that's like a market to like Western audiences, but that's what I vaguely kind of remember.
Yeah, I think around that time it was just like it was very super niche in the West, and like you said, the only time you could really find anything watchable was at a video store, and that was a lot of the time. And I just really remember like being in those sections and just like it was a short, it's a small little section, so you kind of are like looking at it, like you said, Cutie Honey and Vista North Star, and it was definitely geared more towards people who already knew what it was. There wasn't a lot of like starter anime in there,
No, definitely not.
for especially for kids. Like your starter anime for if you were, angsty young teen, uh, but not for kids. So it's just like always, after that first experience, I do always remember my mom was just like, "Okay, so we're gonna do what?" And I'm like, "We're gonna read the box." And she's like, "Yes, we're gonna read the box." And like every time we would go, we would read the box, and she'd be like, "And there's boobs here. Nope, not this one."
No, no.
Uh,
So with that being said, so I don't know what kind of video store your mom worked at. Was it like a chain, like a well-known chain, or was it like a just a little?
no, it
Okay, so
was uh, it was Video Escapades.
that's me too. So it's funny you should say that because my stepfather at the time, we knew the owner forever before he was even on where currently, well, where it was when we were back in the day. So we known him for like years and years and years, and he had different like store locations. And his first store location, they didn't know what the hell this was. They just put it on their shelves. So you had like hentai with like Dragon Ball right next to it. And like they didn't know the difference. So your mom was very smart. Let's read the box indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely like the that one experience really made her be like, "Okay, I need to make sure I'm not accidentally,
Yeah.
showing my child some inappropriate things he's not ready for." But I mean, it's funny you bring up Dragon Ball because it was like Dragon Ball is one of the first like anime, like actual anime I saw uh before Pokemon got big, before Dragon Ball Z got big, because Dragon Ball didn't really air at all.
Yeah.
Um and it was I always remember it was the Tenkaichi where he fights Jackie Chun.
Oh, Jackie Chun, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing that and just not knowing what's going on, like as a kid, you're just like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." They're like zooming around the arena and punching, and oh, what is that? Why did blue stuff come out of his hands? What's going on?
Yeah, I
So,
I vaguely remember what got me hooked to it was just that beginning like opening with like Krillin coming to like Roshi's island and Goku's already there kind of training, and like and he gives us like peace offering, not peace offering, but like kind of like, basically, hey, train me. And Roshi's a perv. So he brings some like nudie magazine. He's like, hey man, teach me the ultimate technique. You can have these like Playboy magazines. And Roshi's, oh hell yeah, let's go. Okay. So I was like, okay, this is something really different from what I'm really used to. And with a bit of humor, because Dragon Ball had a lot of humor to it, a lot of charm in it,
yeah,
for sure. Like it had like sort of like a Disney charm, but like I don't know, like 80s action.
dirty.
Yeah, dirty,
It was
dirty.
dirty.
Yeah.
It's dirty Disney. That just call it what it is.
Anime is dirty Disney back in the day. Yeah. My first exposure to like Dragon Ball wasn't from a video store because there's so many of them. So they had like stuff out of place and it was always like rented and stuff. Mine was just through foreign channel Telemundo, which is, uh aired I believe in Mexico
Mhm.
originally. And I wake up real early, 5 or 6 a.m., and they would have that on, and I was just like, whoa, this is awesome, this is great, this dude's like, he's got this big, Journey to the West. Go ahead.
Ocean dub?
Ocean dub.
Do you know what the ocean dub of Dragon Ball is?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's what I started with for sure, like we're for the dubs at least.
Yeah. That's where I started with, Dragon Ball. Like, you're talking about Telemundo. I remember seeing it on Telemundo. I never watched it because I was just like, my little analytical brain was like, "I cannot speak Spanish. I will not watch this."
That's the thing. I was so intrigued, right? I didn't even know what they were saying, from what I vaguely remember, but like just the, obviously action kind of kept me there, and from that, I didn't watch anime for a very long time until I think maybe even maybe was it the Four Kids or Cartoon Network? I forget. It might have been Fox. Yeah, no, Dragon Ball Z came back to me on Fox, I believe, on Saturdays. Um, yeah, I think that's where I started picking up again, and then studios and different dubbing companies got interchanged, and a lot of hands were switching those things around. So I think Funimation then took the scene.
I have a very serious question to ask you.
Mhm.
It's Dragon Ball related.
All right.
Dragon Ball Z specifically. How many times do you think you saw the Namek saga?
Oh man. It's funny you should say that because I think that's why maybe Dragon Ball, like growing up as a younger teenager, stuck with me so much because maybe I saw it so many fucking times, and I was always like baited at the very end where he gets to Goku gets to Namek for the first time, and like you feel like Vegeta just he freaks out saying he's the Super Saiyan and whatever, and then it switched to the very first episode where Raditz shows up. How many times, dude? Honestly, it felt like over 100. Uh, maybe might be a stretch, but it feels like over 50, maybe, and not be
it
actually
just
actual number, maybe
it
50
just
times.
it's just one of those like old TV things of like you were just stuck. You're just stuck in a loop, just an infinite time loop until they got their hands on whatever footage and could dub whatever episodes, and you're just stuck. And they would re-air it too. They would just play it again, shamelessly.
And we
And
we ate it
I
up.
and how could we not? There wasn't there wasn't anything else like it on TV. There just wasn't.
Yeah, the first time
Uh,
my like parents were like not involved at all in like my anime backstory. Like your mom was very much like a big influence for you. Like, but when I started watching Dragon Ball Z, this is the first time where like my stepdad really sat down and he actually watched something with me, and he's like, what the hell is this shit? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like
what's all
people,
this Japanimation?
right? People like, getting their back broken and like just crazy stuff and big old energy beams and shit. It was wild, over the topness. My,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's all the excessive screaming. He just like, okay, all right, I need to check what this is going on. This is too much screaming for one thing him to watch. All right, so that's for my starter. Now, I think, when did you really started watching anime in a real way? Maybe Pokemon started in 90s, maybe? What would you say?
Um, I would say it was 100% Dragon Ball Z got me on like a regular watching regimen
Mhm.
for anime because it used to be uh I don't know exactly, the memory's fuzzy, but I know that we would watch Dragon Ball Z, immediately Sailor Moon would come on, and then after Sailor Moon it would be some other show for a while, but then eventually it was Card Captors. Um, like eventually Card Captors would come out. It's just like the block was so full of these anime, these shows that just like one after the other. I was like, this is who thought of this? This is so weird. But I was just like, me and my sister was just eating it up. We just sit down for like 3 hours uninterrupted, behave, and just every Saturday, just Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Card Captors, whatever weird, you know, cartoon came on after that. God, what was theirs? Like, I'm trying to. There's like so many weird cartoons in those Saturday morning blocks that just did not stick around. Earthworm Jim comes to
Oh, dude,
mind.
yeah, from the video game. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I remember watching
and
that.
so I mean, like, it was just like it would be like anime, and then like Earthworm Jim, and it's like, wait, what?
So random, yeah.
This is so different.
It's like, what am I watching? Yeah. This
But I loved Earthworm Jim. It's such a again a wacky concept that just he was a space exploring earthworm. I don't know. This is weird.
I think what really kind of like separated me like from I still loved American cartoons for the for the most part growing up, and it's great, but animes is ongoing story, and a lot of cartoons that we grew up with, they basically the episode kind of encapsulated, the beginning, middle, and end right there. And then very rarely were there like long arcs of like ongoing
Yeah.
story. I mean, I think I think the most I don't know, was it one of the Doug episodes where Doug gets all like
Yep.
really sad that Skeeter's like leaving or something,
And they
and
don't result
and
to
he's
be
like,
continued.
because Skeeter's like, I'm moving, blah blah blah, and little did Doug know he was moving to the basement, and he has like this tragic, like heartfelt, oh my god, my best friend's moving. That is like the extent of like how far they would go in like storytelling. So stuff like Dragon Ball or Sailor Moon or Cat, Card Captors. They just kept on going with their story, and I think maybe that's what hooked me the most because like I just wanted to see more
Yeah.
of the story, and I think that's why it really caught on with me personally. I don't know. What do you feel about that? I-
Um,
Is that
it
why
just
you?
seemed like it didn't seem like these were mascots,
Mm,
right? So like in the 90s, there's so many like mascot type characters that were just they were starting to drift away from that, right? Like you didn't like the Ninja Turtles were they were fully fledged characters. Like they had personalities, they had ambitions, they were doing a thing, but they were in this like Saturday morning format of like you said, there's a beginning, middle, and end, and at the end of the episode, the problem is solved.
yep.
So it was just like not only did we get the cliffhangers or the continuation of a story, uh, it was the characters were like changing. The characters are like growing with us
Yep.
somehow. And it was just like, but Goku wasn't strong enough before and he lost and he was really hurt and then he went into time chamber or something and he did a lot of push-ups and just like seeing characters struggle for the first time,
Really struggle.
that
Yeah.
blew my mind. Like that was something I thought was like for me who kept watching Power Rangers, by the way, that was something that Power Rangers explored. Like they're not strong enough individually, so they have to really rely on so and so's talent to beat this monster, and then
Power
they
of
work
friendship.
together. Yeah, but again, like you said, it was still that very much the beginning, middle, end. The conflict's over by the end, and then next episode. So this was for me. It was just like what I wanted from Power Rangers to be, and then I started getting it in anime. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really kind of like it really kind of hooked me just based on like being able to like watch it was one thing, but I think I don't know. I would love to hear your perspective on this. Finding that first person to talk to about it outside of your household, uh, game changer.
Huge. Yeah. And you know what? It took a while. what I vaguely remember. Um, I don't think it was even Dragon Ball or anything like that. I mean, I think the first anime, quote unquote, I connected people was Pokemon wildly because the video game, you know, all the friends really picked up on that. The card game was huge when we were younger. We were really picked up on
Oh,
that,
massive.
and then the show just kind of like happened in tow. And yeah, I remember there was a friend named Patrick. Patrick Payne. I used to go to his house every morning at like 7:15 or whatever. We'd always catch that one episode before we had to go to middle school. And I think that's the first person I really shared anime with in a real way. Vaguely. I think I can't remember anything before that. Other than that, I just kind of like isolated my room. It's like my own little thing that no one else kind of like
Yeah.
consumed. You know what I mean? And my family thought I was weird, and feel isolated in some way, and yeah, that loner thing going. You'll never understand me and my power levels. How much I need to grow stronger to defeat Frieza. Stupid shit like that. But yeah, no, I connected definitely. I think deeper than the regular Saturday morning cartoons that would resolve their stuff in one episode. Like the whole Gohan thing in the beginning there was great. His dad died, literally
Yeah.
sacrificing, and he died, and he got
Yeah.
raised by his
His
his fellow Namekian.
his mortal enemy.
Yeah,
Let's just call it what it was.
yeah, no, it was
His his literal mortal enemy that also again had this character arc from this thing that happened, which was unheard of
mhm.
in a children's show, let alone a regular show that adults watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a Disney villain that stays a villain at the very end, doesn't have any kind of change, right? He's not Scar from
Yeah.
Lion King. He is very much a fleshed out character. I think, yeah, that resonated with me. And then after like the shonen stuff, I started kind of like breaking more out. I think it's probably middle school. I would say for me personally, when I started going a little past the shonen stuff, I really started branching out and watching stuff like Akira, which was kind of like a game changer in my small brain at the
Yes.
time. And I was like, wow, this could really go heavy. And they weren't just showing that at all. And you get to go like HBO for that type of thing. But yeah, I think in terms of manga, let's briefly touch on that because it kind of like held hand in hand. You were a comic book enjoyer when you were growing up, I'd imagine, right? X-Men, Spider-Man, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? And they kind of had really deep stories as well, especially particularly Marvel. For what I remember, I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man was a huge influence back in the day for me reading that as a kid, and they had some pretty heavy, amazing stories, but they never really explored those stories as much as I wanted them into cartoon form because they kind of dubbed it down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It was watered down for
Watered
sure.
down, yeah. I think in terms of that genre and the superhero stuff, um, Batman was, I think, the darkest thing I kind of like got into, and then animated series was absolutely amazing um, at a younger age. But
Okay, so yeah, it really does line up. The X-Men cartoon started October 31st, 1992, because I was just thinking like
that, yeah, that
that
early,
block with
yeah.
uh that
Spider-Man, radioactive Spider. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
okay, so again, so this all kind of lines up. So you're talking about Spider-Man, you're talking about X-Men, and those shows like those went on for a while. Um the let's see, I'm looking at here and it's just like the English dub, like the documented one, from Dragon Ball Z, like they're saying it's 96. I definitely remember it maybe a year earlier before Funimation had their hands on it,
I did definitely, yeah.
but it's in that era of those like Saturday morning cartoons where kids were already had their eyes on these like slightly more young adult versions of the X-Men and Spider-Man and uh man, just again, those blocks kind of like started to blend for me a little bit.
Mhm.
And then like just again, like I said, it really kind of set my tastes. So like if I was watching an anime, like you could bet I'm sticking around for Justice League, you know? I I'm sticking around for what was the follow-up? Spider-Man Unlimited
Oh, man, yeah, that takes me back.
where he was like flung into the future or whatever, and he had the nanotech suit. Uh, yeah, it was just like it was a lot of that, and like you said, a lot of jumping around from like Cartoon Network and Fox, and it's airing on Saturday, and this is airing on Wednesday, and it just kind of I kind of was like not. I don't think I ever got to a point where I was like anime is like my thing. It was always something I was trying to like indoctrinate people into.
Yeah.
So like if I had friends spend the night, I would be like, "Hey, I got this sick thing on VHS. You'll never believe what it is. It's Yu-Gi-Oh!" And yeah, it was a lot of that. And I think when I started middle school, um my father would go to like the corner stores and get like his gun magazines and stuff like that. And I swear to God, Ryan, this is such a vivid memory. Is like he picked up his gun magazine and right underneath it was a localized version of the Weekly Shonen Jump, and
What?
I was like, "Hey, no way! What is this? What is this thing in front of me? Hey, Dad, can I have this thing? Could you give me this?"
Dude, guns and anime, let's
And
go.
I remember mailing that little slip out with my like $5 to start my subscription, and the rest is history. Just full on like anime weeb. The rest, I just couldn't shut up about it.
Kinda going back to, like, the magazine and the manga and the comic books and stuff, you know, I was very much a comic book enjoyer, and I remember before, like, the full, like, manga graphic novels were a thing, back in the day, they tried a lot of different formats, and, I wasn't exposed to Shonen Jump for a very long time until it was, like, more mainstream in stores, but I remember particularly, um like Dragon Ball or Oh My Goddess and stuff, they tried like the chapter comic book form in a lot of bookstores. Very rare to like have one of those today, but like it'd be, 16 pages in like a regular comic book form and like it was very thin. It didn't do too well. But that's my first exposure to like manga, you know what I mean? And they didn't know what to do with it because some were like backwards, basically uh, you read them the way intended for them, and then they try to convert it, and it was also kind of weird when they tried to make it like for Americans, and they flipped everything on the other side. Um, but yeah, so man, you getting yourself like a Shonen Jump like out of the blue like that. I mean, did that like kind of open up your world to oh, I can read this stuff now too. I could, you know,
Yeah, I mean it was okay. It definitely wasn't my first exposure to uh the format. It was confusing because it was the whole right to left instead of left to right.
you're reading this
So that was
backwards.
confusing. Very confusing first read. First for a minute, it took me a minute to get used to it, but I do remember it so fondly because that same summer, one of the neighborhood kids, like maybe this is seventh grade, something like that, came up and he's just like, "I just discovered this new thing. It's called Naruto." In that exact
Oh,
voice.
Naruto.
This is not a stereotypical like he is a weeb and he has discovered it. No, this
Yeah.
was this kid's voice, nasally as hell, uh, and Seabass as we called him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was like, "It's so cool. It's about ninjas, but it's about kid ninjas, and they use magic, I think." And it was just so like it's so satisfying to be like, oh yeah, I know about that,
And he just flat. "Oh, what do you mean you know about that? No, it's my
and then
thing."
just yeah, it was definitely the visceral reaction of this is my thing too. Wait, I can talk about this thing with a human person.
God, no. When I first got into Naruto, it was like I don't know, a match made in heaven because is in middle school, and
Yeah.
back then at that same time, you had those edgy Linkin Park music videos,
Oh,
and
they
you had emo and emo, and then Naruto was very tragically backstory emo. It all just like kind of worked together, and you're beginning teenager, and your emotions, it's all worked together. It's just you making some bread, and it's all he had all the ingredients to make something beautiful.
yeah, I think we could dedicate an entire pod to just talking about anime AMVs.
Oh my god, we dedicate AMVs in Lincoln Park alone. Yeah, how many times I
How many
seen.
times you tried so hard and got so far?
Yeah, I know, to Dragon Ball Z particularly. Yeah, funny you should say that. One of my earliest memories of like sharing anime with someone was my friend Eric. And if you're old enough to know, internet used to be called 56K on a dial-up modem, and back in the day you had to there's a thing called buffering, basically loading whatever
Shh,
you're
how dare you?
looking at. Yeah, yeah. So we waited like 3 hours for like this 3 minute Savage Garden Dragon Ball Z music videos on a real player for like 3 hours for 3 minutes. And that was the greatest fucking thing ever. And I remember like finding it not too long ago
Wait,
again.
is it the song I'm thinking
Is
of?
It was
Hold
I
on.
don't know, Break Me or I don't remember what it was about, but my God, I looked it up recently and I'm like, wow, we waited for that. You know what I mean? Just like, wow, okay.
Oh man, I need to. I'll dedicate some time. I'm gonna
Yeah,
find
find it,
it.
find it, find it. It all worked in tandem. What I'm saying, just trying to say, is like all the angsty music back then and the teenage emotions and anime all kind of worked together in one amazing unit. And yeah, so that's probably my earliest experience of like sharing anime with someone like that and Pokemon, for the most part. And then after that, high school was a whole new like can of worms of like my anime journey. I started going to conventions. I started meeting people, like you, particularly like minded self, and sharing it because before I was afraid to like share anime because I had this like very stereotypical thing, boobs and mechs. That's what anime
Yeah,
is: boobs and mechs, giant robots and huge inflatable boobies. Um, and that's what people would associate with. So whenever you talked about anime when you're young, I would get that, like me in the corner. What was that meme of like me in the corner? The guy in the
yeah.
corner
They
at the
don't. They
party.
don't. They don't know I've watched 700 hours of anime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I watched 700, hours of anime, and it's deeper than you think. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
type of shit. So, yeah, man. I think the evolution was a perfect timing. Really, I don't think it would have been any better than having that like mid, beginning 2000s, early 90s, early 2000s anime and music combination.
Yeah, there's I mean, and again, it spawned this is the term that spawned in our era. It was the big 3. Like those were the conversation starters for anybody that was watching anime. It's how you started to kind of weed out the people who didn't know or could know about anime. It was just like, "Oh, hey, did you catch the scans of the big 3?" And then that person would either be like, oh yeah, let's talk at length about all of them right now. Or confused face, big 3.
Big
Like
three? You mean
you talking
like
about like sports? Like what are you talking about?
the big three sports? Yeah, man, the big three, Naruto, when all that kind of took off, kind of the pirate age, because the beginning 2000s, we were
The
talking
Great Pirate Era, if you mean.
the real pirate era, at least for the American audience, takes me back because back then, we talked about, like, a lot of, like, what channels had what. Toonami Block, I'd imagine, is a huge one for anime, particularly, but, back in the day, they didn't have Adult Swim right away, you know what I mean? There's a lot of
No.
stuff that wasn't available to us and just not there wasn't, like, day one, Crunchyroll, whatever, airing in Japan. We had to get our stuff, translated, and for the American people to get it, like, officially, you'd have to wait sometimes years to get, that, um, in an official way. So what I would do, I'm sure you did the same. There's a sub or dub, where you get your subs, quote unquote, on the internet and watch your Naruto ninja show, that way. And same thing with, pirating manga because it wasn't really mainstream back then. So,
There there's a big, there's a big fuss these days about, pirating and fan translations and
mhm.
leaks and spoilers and all that stuff and, the broader anime community. And it's like there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I get it because there are a lot of more people are trying to legitimize, and that's fine. But they don't understand before these seas were as clear and stable as they were rougher. They were
Oh, okay.
waves, insurmountable waves, if you just wanted to get anything. And fan translators were sailing those seas way before the streaming became so popular and so mainstream. Uh, and like those fan translations were just so good. I love and I miss desperately annotations and translations. I just desperately miss having that, like, they're like Bushido and then like on the side Bushido. It's actually a belief of samurais and blah blah blah. Like as they're still kind of talking, you're like, hold on, let me pause.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of that, and then I mean, again, and the fan translations weren't just for the internet. Like there were fan translations that were burned on DVDs that somebody did at home because they knew Japanese and translated it roughly, but they did it.
God, no, I
You
remember
could,
listening to particularly, people trying to make their own dubs back in the
oh
day, and that
yes,
was like gold, man. I mean,
fan dubs.
fan dubs were, I mean, obviously hit or miss, but most of the time they were a miss, but God, they were hilarious to watch
Yeah,
sometimes. That was just entertainment itself, not even like the anime you're watching, but, when I started reading One Piece for the first time and officially read Zolo instead of Zoro, I was like, "What the fuck? What the hell?"
nothing made me inwardly cringe more than reading Solo
Yeah.
in the official like translation.
Mhm.
Nothing actually made me physically like a physical response to a name because like to me you're on, I don't know, again, I can't speak to how, you know, your experience was, but when I got those early jump scans, like from the official like localized version, before like up until the buggy arc, they were using Zoro.
Wow, okay.
And then once they got to that arc, it switched to Zolo, and I was like, why?
I thought it was
And
a
then the four
typo
kids,
at first. I was like, they that
yeah,
somebody messed up, somebody's getting fired. Zolo, come on
yeah,
now.
because it's just like, oh, Zoro, like Zoro,
Mhm.
like the Spanish fucking swashbuckler Zoro, like that's sick.
I felt like such a bad boy back in the day getting like pirated stuff because it'd be uncensored and a lot of the American television shows would show without blood, without
Yeah.
whatever, and like even some of the manga stuff was censored a lot of the time as well. So
Oh yeah.
I felt like such a cool kid, like, hey, I got that sweet ass Naruto chapter. You wanna see somebody get a hand through their chest? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Um, yeah. So, man, yeah, back in the day was wild, and there are some pirates out there. I mean, pirates today, but I mean, let's be real. Anime today, people got it made. Like it's
It's accessible. It's
everywhere.
seeing seeing how seeing how much it's changed, seeing how much it's become accessible is like even now, it puts a smile on my face because it's like, I wasn't like actively doing anything in the community to like change that, but being on the ride the whole time and seeing how it went from like part one of six, part two of six, part three of six, torrenting,
Oh my god.
like everything. These off the rest in peace the other streaming sites that got taken down
Your real
that
heroes.
had the best archives that just had better organization than Crunchyroll. RIP to you guys, you were the real ones. Yeah, it's just really man, it's just really different, but I love it. Like, just this week I was able to sit down, turn on Netflix, and just watch Delicious Dungeon, high quality, no skipping, like, and just enjoy it.
Yeah,
And
they're
it's fully dubbed. It's just nice.
those guys are heroes back in the day. They became villains eventually, right? I mean, hilariously enough, Crunchyroll was a pirating started as a pirating site.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys knew that, but that's true. And look
This
at
is
them
fact.
now. Yeah, so they started
They
as a
rose to
hero
the top.
and still a hero to this day. So man, yeah, definitely. Then high school, I would say I was just into everything, berserk, all genres, and I love how much we were exposed to early on with the video store. I think if this current age, I don't think we would have been exposed to the same level of like genre than
Oh yeah.
today in like a video. There's no video stores anymore to this day, but like other than like that last blockbuster. But now how people are exposed to anime is just it's everywhere. It's mainstream.
Yeah.
They don't have that experience of like going into a video store and just like kind of like and everything just tells you what it is and what it's rated and whatever. Back in my day when I wanted to be traumatized, god damn it. you know
there is a sort of nostalgia I have for like the age of discovery,
mm,
when it was just like you're confident that this is probably going to be a banger, but you could also be horribly wrong. It could just be the most aesthetically bad anime you've ever seen. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you pick up a thing and it was, I don't know. Wolf's Rain comes to mind. I did not enjoy Wolf's Rain at
no,
all. I thought it was going to be something I vibed with, and I was just
dang.
like, I'm so bored.
but the
This is
but
this
the
is this is not my tea.
but that
This put it back.
that opening theme though was so hard. It was so good.
That's what fooled me.
Yeah.
That's what fooled me, Ryan. I was like, it can't possibly be less hype than this opening. Which actually kind of it kind of you kind of fell into one of the questions I had, which was, what do you feel like was the first time you saw like an anime opening and was like, this is not like the TMNT opening. This is built different. This is this is completely different. And I mean like an actual one. Obviously a lot of people out there know what Rock the Dragon is. We all do. It's
Yeah.
been talked about. I'm talking about like the first anime opening that you heard and you were like, "Yo, this gets me so excited to watch this show."
Maybe not so excited, maybe more so depressed. Okay. All right, there's two that come to mind. All right. I mean, I got the other Bebop was
Yeah.
just yeah, I mean, it's Bebop. Like, what else I
Yeah.
need to say about that Bebop? And I don't know if you ever seen Serial Experiments Lane. Basically,
Serial experience. In my gut, I was like, if Ryan brings up Serial Experiments Lane, I'll puke everywhere. But you're absolutely right. That opening, woo wee,
yeah, man.
God, it made me want to stay. It made me want to stay. I'll tell you that, Ryan.
It was so interesting, man. And I was like, oh, this is not Saturday morning cartoons
No,
opening. I mean, even though how amazing Rock the Dragon rocked. Um, you know, it wasn't it's something different, built different, made my heart
It
feel
was built
different,
different.
my mind different, and
Yeah.
yeah, probably that. What about you? What do you think your first banger that popped out? You're like, wow, this makes me feel something different than what I'm really used to. Just not to get me hype for a show, but maybe even just think. You know what I mean? Because anime openings, I mean, even back in the day, they teased so much of like an arc and what
Yeah.
like the show is about. it,
So, it's my very first, harem, my very first ecchi. You
what?
know it, I know it, we love it, it's Tenchi Muyo.
Oh my god! Yep.
Uh, that opening was just like a just dopamine rush of good feelings, and just it made you believe that his living situation was going to work out somehow.
Oh yeah, that was real. That was the original real world for sure. That was
Yeah, and just continuously adding just characters to this this house. This singular house. That was the thing that always messed me up about Tenchi. It wasn't like this expanding universe. They were just adding to his house. Just get in the house. Come live here. You're an interdimensional god. Whatever. Live in the
That's
house.
cool. You're a princess far off different planet. Ah, come right in. You're a genius, wild genius on the run. Ah, come on. Two police officers. Ah, why not? You know what I mean? It just kept on
Space
going.
cops, come live here.
Kept on coming. Oh my god, that show is nuts. So
It's
Tenchi. All right.
yeah, it 100% made me reevaluate my tastes when I first saw Tenchi, because I was like, I kind of like when there's action, but I think I like it more when they're chilling.
And that's when you really, really start liking anime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so well again, and it was just like there's that uh 13, 14-year-old me
yeah.
that's like, ha, boobs.
Yeah, exactly. But
But I
also
found I
was
found
it real 13, 14? Like, hey, boobs. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know-
exactly. It was just like, huh, I don't know if I should be seeing this, but sick. But it was like that kind of caught my attention, and then like I found myself kind of going like, well, why doesn't he just fucking why did he just stay? Why just stay there? Why are you guys leaving? He didn't tell you to leave. Where are you going? And then just getting so invested in each character as they kind of go through their own little arc, like ugh, all from just a really banger opening, just made me stay. Because again, that first episode, I was just like, they had spliced together some footage, cut the intro down from like probably the 2 minutes that it actually was, but it was enough for me to be like, oh, this looks cool. I'll watch this.
yeah, I mean, did Tenchi originally air like on the Toonami block or was it like Adult
Yeah,
Swim? I
I
forget.
think they showed like one of the OVAs or all the OVAs like back to back
Mm.
before it had like the full on series. We got like all the OVAs back to back, I think. And then later when they came out with like the TV series, they showed it. They started airing that, and I only remember vividly because I remember watching the first run and going, "Wow, that was really good," and they're all together, and then like they're like and Tenchi Muya coming on, and I was just like, "Wait a minute, where's everybody? Why is no one in this house? Why is he alone farming? Why does he look so sad?"
Where's the action, damn it? Yeah.
Yeah, it just really kind of like the TV series version of the story had, you know, spaced out everything, and it was paced differently, and it was the first time I had gone, well, I like the other one. Where's the other one? Why won't you bring that back?
This kind of coincided with Serial Experiments Lane, but I think Evangelion was another one that, I think I watched a couple episodes at the end of like middle school, maybe beginning of high school. And, there's some deep philosophical questions to be had. And I was like, shows never made me think this hard before about, like just shit, some real shit. And it was real natural evolution. I felt like from going from the early 80s to the 90s to early 2000s of like just the level, I guess, of maturity. Like it also helped me like grow and like think about stuff because let's be real. I mean, for me, high school wasn't doing that for me. It wasn't teaching me all these values. My parents weren't doing it for me as well. So I learned kind of like through anime in a way. So um, I guess if I had a tragic anime backstory, it's not really tragic, but like it's just a natural evolution that just worked out. Um,
That's great. I'm so happy for you. Just I don't wanna I don't wanna burst the bubble fully, but man, just really? Evangelion? Really?
yeah,
That one? That did it for you?
yeah, it was. I don't know. Maybe it was Shinji getting bullied all the time. I don't really know. from from these
I
crazy
guess
women.
I just I've tried so many times to watch Evangelion. I
Not for
cannot.
you.
I just can't. I just can't with
Wow,
Shinji.
dude,
I
that's
just can't.
that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I can't with Shinji. I don't care how well written he is. I just
Okay.
can't. It just I've tried multiple times. I think 4 or 5 episodes. I think I've gotten far enough to the point where the Ava unit goes berserk, and then I just I couldn't finish it. I don't think I've ever finished Evangelion.
It's okay. I forgive you. It's all right. It's 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 all right. So I mean, a natural timeline for both of us kind of seems like we started with it on television, then we pirated, and now we kind of watched also on television, and now we're streaming. Um, you
Hey,
know.
I would never say I pirated. I would just say
Oh,
that
okay.
there were some seas that I sailed on that may not or may have been regulated.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I was just I was just a hostage on those pirate ships. That's all. I
Yeah,
just
I would say I was more of a privateer,
mm,
if anything, you
okay.
know.
I like it. I like it. I like it. So in, our anime backstories and like where we're at now, and I know you have children. Um, how did you introduce them uh to like anime in a certain way? Like, oh, today is a day. It's time. It's time. You having experience with your mom and getting introduced to like a video store way. Was there like a certain like I don't want to say ritual, but like just a way you broke the ice for them particularly? Because younger generation, I imagine they see stuff through clips now than just possibly
Oh yeah.
full episodes, right? So, because
Yeah, I mean my niece, like, she watches some animes, but it's 100% that, just clips, or she'll see a TikTok and she'll go, "Ooh, what's that? I wanna watch this anime." And she knows the word and it's just normal for her, and that's great. My kids, uh, early on, it was partially exposure, like, I would just be watching a thing and they would come sit and watch it with me with no context and go, "Ooh, pretty colors." And then eventually I just, they want to watch what they want to watch. It was lots of, you know, early kid shows back in the day, your Disney shows, your Nickelodeon shows, your, uh, it's just all of them, all the shows. And just at some point they wanted to watch anime. They just picked up the remote, knew that I went to this app every time to watch anime. They chose a thing and started watching. Um, and then once they were like, "Hey, I'm watching." What did she say? It's actually Precure, but I think it's called Glitter Force.
oh,
There's like a 4 kids dub of
yep.
Precure, and she's like, "I really like this show," and I was like, "Oh, this is like Magical Girls," and she goes, "What's a magical girl?"
Oh yeah,
And boom, right there, that's where it started. And I mean,
magical.
this my oldest, she loves, Avatar: Last Airbender. She's watched all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood multiple times.
Wow.
Like, she very much has her own tastes when it comes to those things. And she'll watch, some more popular ones. I know she's watched like the first. half of the season of JJK. So like she has her own taste, and then my second, she likes to get her dramas. She watches Fruits Basket, and any rom com like me, any rom com she can get her hands on, she'll watch it.
Same.
She loves a good isekai. That's my second daughter is the one I watch the most, like throwaway, like popcorn eating type of anime with. Like we'll watch your isekai to another world with your smartphone, and laugh at how bad it is. And yeah, it's just they kind of settled into their own taste, but it always was like I would sit down, and I do really remember going like, "Hey, I think you guys will like you've been reading a lot of these, young fantasy novels and stuff. I'm like, we should watch Full Metal Alchemist. I think you'll really like it."
Hell yeah.
And then we sat down, we watched all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and they're like, "That was good. Is there like more stuff like this?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, there is.
Oh,
There's so much more.
oh,
You don't understand."
they opened the door. Here we
Yeah.
go. Dad's excited.
Oh
Um,
man, I'm always excited.
so with that being said, I think we kind of covered pretty much, a good portion of our, I guess, early backstories there. I'm gonna leave this a question to the audience here. If you guys didn't grow up with Cartoon Network or introduced to anime that kind of way, how were you first exposed? I would love to hear. Um, where you guys got started anime. What's your anime backstories? Where can you put it? You can put it like Filler Mondays at outlook.com or in the YouTube comments. Drop us a line. So that's our first show, D. How we feeling? We feeling like we covered all our backstories. Is there anything else you would like to tell the audience or they should know about our backstories? Not too tragic.
Um, as tragic as some backstories were today, uh, just remember that we all kind of had our own starting point, where a lot of people in the community at large are like they felt isolated, and then once you kind of find your clique, your people to talk to anime about online, offline, like it's a it gives you that confidence to share it. And I just want to encourage everybody to just share it, even if it's a weird anime that no one's watching. Share it. You never know what somebody's enjoyment is going to be, because they could either find it endearing and love it, or they could find it hilarious and love it. You never know.
God, Mr. Wholesome, guys, give him a round of applause. That is amazing. I concur. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks for listening. This very first episode, kind of excited. We're kind of nervous. We know how it's gonna go. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Any suggestions? Drop us a line on our socials. And D, if I wanted to find more of where we're located and get the goods on everything Filler Mondays, where would I find that?
You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Remember to rate us, leave those comments and those sweet, sweet socials. I've been Demetrius, and my rival.
Um, Ryan.
And don't worry about anything we said in this episode. It's not canon anyway.
And there we have it. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one when we drop it.
Bye.
Bye.